All right, let's talk about the fairly new revelation, which I first became aware of by watching Redacted, which is Clayton Morris, Clayton Morris's channel, and so I want to give credit to him for bringing this to my attention. But it's not like it hasn't been talked about before, but it's just been confirmed and by the Pentagon. And ironically, it seems that NBC and even Deutsche Welle, which is DW in Germany, which is a media channel in Germany, it seems like NBC covered the burning of documents in Ukraine at a defense ministry building in Ukraine, them burning the documents, which seems to have a connection to the Bidens. Uh, so, and so there's that. But this brings me to the topic that I want to talk about. You know, Jimmy Dore and a bunch of others covered this whole thing when Fauci got in front and said, "Oh, there was gain of function." It was revealed that gain of function money had been sent to the Wuhan biolabs for gain of function for the COVID virus. And during the time when China first announced that they had detected the COVID-19 virus and had done the testing and all that other stuff, and come up with the how to identify it and what and then the U.S. and the Western media and the politicians all went on a blitzkrieg of lying about it, and Trump went to it's the China virus, the Kung Fu virus, and all that other stuff, and then there were reports that came out, which was all sourced from Western sources, about how the I can't think of the military base that's the U.S. military biolab in Maryland. I forget the name of it, but how the CDC had shut them down, and then there was a story about the vaping disease, which even when you looked at the CDC, it actually says it's a SARS MERS COVID strain, right? That's what the vaping disease was. And then there was the other biolab in one of the Carolinas, and not ironically, but there was an outbreak immediately around that biolab as well as the one in Maryland, and they were trying to push the vaping disease, which the media blasted all over the place, but it was actually the COVID virus, and it spread to 9 states, and there's somewhere estimated between 3 and 6 million COVID cases, and then that was revealed by the American Red Cross. When they were drawing blood and they were testing the blood, they found the COVID virus. And there were several high-profile people in the U.S., which included a mayor of New Jersey who had antigens for the COVID virus. And this is all months upon months upon months, more than 3 months before China announced that they had detected the COVID virus. But that wasn't all. Spain found the COVID virus in the sewers. Italy had an outbreak of the COVID virus. Again, more than 3 months before China announced that they announced this COVID virus. And another coincidence was that almost 3 months, or a little bit shorter than 3 months, there was the military Olympic Games held in Wuhan, China, where the first outbreak, supposedly the first outbreak, was came from, right? And then there's and and so an outbreak happens after the Wuhan Olympic Games, right? And of course, during the whole fiasco, these of it's China, China is at fault for the COVID pandemic, except it had already been in the U.S. and in Western Europe. And this is more than 3 months before China officially announced they had detected the COVID virus. Now, then you find out, and they were doing all this, and plus they were insinuating that, that there may have been malfeasance in the Wuhan lab. That they didn't openly say it, but that they were insinuating that gain of function and other stuff had been happening there, and that's why, and there was a leak. And by the way, the CDC shut down that biolab in Maryland because of that vaping disease, which miraculously had all the markers for COVID-19 virus. So so there's that. Fast forward to the point where Fauci is revealed by this other idiot, this other asshole, lying asshole, who goes on TV and says, "Well, Fauci was funding gain of function in Wuhan labs, right?" And then later on, they had him in Congress to grill him, right? But you had Jimmy Dore, and you had all these other, they're all jumping on it, right? And even people that have covered the stuff that I covered, they're jumping on it, right? Except for a few real ones that did remember, that did actually do the legwork to get on the ground and actually go to Wuhan and actually do real journalism, investigative journalism, had already debunked that whole thing that Wuhan labs had a leak and all that other stuff, and they weren't doing any bioweapons research or gain of function. That it had nothing to do with getting bats for all this stuff, right? So as I said, fast forward, and you have that thing, and Jimmy Dore was on that and on that and on that, and I commented several times about that, and stop and think about it, and basically saying stop and think about it, and I mentioned all the stuff in the comments. It's like, but he kept on going with it. I mean, and I like Jimmy, I respect Jimmy, and I don't think he's doing it for malicious or nefarious reasons. But Jimmy can be naive. I've been I've been naive as well. I've naively put out stuff that without actually looking into it and put it on video. I haven't taken it down. I haven't, because I pointed out in other videos that I can make mistakes and will make mistakes. But the thing is what the whole point of it is that with everything, with all the information we've come into, and how serially they lie and fabricate and distract and displace and all that. Yet yet the more critically thinking individual still can fall for it. Still can consider it. I mean, I did one on Redacted with Clayton's wife. Natalie. Spilling out the BS narratives, and that's what they talk about. The lies, the bullshit. Yet she spouted about China, about the genocide and forced labor and Hong Kong and Taiwan. And so, it's like, oh my God, how do you not? And I pointed out all the ways that it was been concretely debunked. And so, but that's the thing. It's as if you're going to be talking about stuff like that, then you really need to do the legwork, and you really need to keep in mind that not to allow your naivety to get the better of you, and look into it, and look for what source materials that they're taking from. And Clayton does. Clayton, like Jimmy and Brian from New Atlas, and Daniel Dumbro, and BT News, Min Press, Gray Zone, Abby Martin. Then there is the People's Dispatch. Revolutionary Blackout. There's a lot of great sources, and we have to be try to be as consistent and true, and really dig. And yes, we can make mistakes, but like Clayton should have included the stuff that I put in. Because there's a connection to the 48 biolabs that the Pentagon had to admit that they were funding and research in Ukraine, the 48 one. But the thing is something I wrote down on that video for Clayton, is that there are hundreds, literally hundreds, that are connected to the U.S. government and the U.S. military, along with NATO, all over the world. Russia doesn't have hundreds. China doesn't have hundreds. Iran doesn't have hundreds. Venezuela doesn't have hundreds around the world. So, who is the nefarious, malicious actor? It's the U.S. and the West and NATO. And so, let's keep that in mind. Let's keep that in mind, that they're the ones who are the bad faith actors, the criminals. When you lie and fabricate at that scope, which causes the deaths of tens of millions to hundreds of millions, when you when you're the one sending weapons all over the place, and you're always sending them to the worst possible people in the world, that makes you the top baddie in the World Olympics of baddies. When you are doing things to make sure that the baddies get into positions of power, okay, and you're using money, you're using media propaganda, you're using disinformation, misinformation, all of it is basically lies. When you're promoting sedition and the breakdown of the societies there, and you're doing it, and you're breeding rabid dogs whom you back and put into power. You know, the whole thing about the Ukrainian Nazis. The thing is this is not the first time that the U.S. and the West have done this. I mean, there's Operation Gladio. There's Operation Paperclip. Oh, you know, the U.S. They helped Nazis get out of Nazi Germany. They incorporated Nazis into the government, into the so-called intelligence and security services. They, even into NASA. They helped them. They helped to flood them into South America and Central America. These are all factual. I mean, even during the rise of Hitler and his Nazis, you had the so-called Queen of England doing a Sieg Heil when she was a child with her family. Even Churchill, the vaunted Churchill, and others, and the same thing in the U.S. Basically downplaying Hitler and his Nazis, and even actually agreeing with Hitler and the Nazis. Again, these are facts. You can look them up and find them, and they're not just saying, "Oh, it's a fact." They're actually giving you source material from the horse's mouth. That's what I consistently try to stick to. Yes, I can be naive. Yes, I can be tricked. But I consistently talk about it, and when I'm wrong, I mention it. But and I try not to be wrong a lot. I will make corrections. So, anyways, hopefully, you'll look into the stuff that I just talked about for yourself, and not just take my word for it. Something that Daniel Dumbrew always says. He's a great guy, by the way. He's a great person to pay attention to. He completely and utterly blows it out of the water with the whole narrative genocide of Uyghurs and and the democratic protests in Hong Kong. And he's phenomenal. Another one is Brian Baletic. You know, and then there's Faramubi. He's a Colombian who lives in China. There's the Mexicanos in China. There's you know, and there's even some Eastern Europeans and even Russians who are in China. There's Indians from India in China. I've covered this before. They've gone over, literally taking flights on their own dime to confirm or debunk the whole genocide and forced labor and the Hong Kong democracy protests and Taiwan, all of it. But there's an international group that have done this. But you got the BBC who will do a smear campaign on them, who will try to do anything, including going through the computer to shade trees to make them look gray. The leaves and everything else look gray. Like Jason Lightfoot of living in China, when he does a video, and the BBC literally takes it and shades it and then puts it through, right? We have to. You can't be self-aware if you can't be self-aware, and you can't allow your ignorance to drive you, because you become naive. You become part of the propaganda. You become part of the machine that allows the worst elements to drive the agenda, to drive the narrative, to drive what is truth and what is facts. That is where the idea of gray zone comes in. And I mentioned this before. I'm consistent about it. It's superficial semantics, or trying to be clever. It's or intellectual to think about it. There is a black and white. There's always been a black and white. There has always been a wrong and right. It is wrong to go after somebody because of the color of their skin, the shape of their eyes, or their ethnicity. It is wrong to keep people poor on purpose. It is wrong to take your labor, your intellect, your emotion, your emotional, you know what I mean, and to take it and pervert it and do. It is wrong to privatize, meaning steal the wealth and security of the many, so you can socialize the benefits and bring and set the cost on the many. It is wrong. I think we can all agree on those things. It's not that difficult. All you need to do is pay attention and remake the connections. Because the longer you allow those connections to stay, and there's been a scientific study that pretty much confirms that that we make permanent synaptic connections within our brain, and and when that happens, it makes it incredibly difficult to break those, to reset pathways. That becomes instinctual, not factual, not truthful, but instinctual, because that's the conditioned indoctrination at work. That conditioned indoctrination can do that. And that is because of all the misinformation, all the disinformation, all of the narratives that happen from birth to death, which experience, especially if it's not something that hits you like a ton of bricks in your life, you can't. It's harder to. It makes it easier when that happens. When some tragedy or trauma can allow you to break away from that pathology of thinking. When you live in relative stable security, and you have all this body, you keep imbibing it and ingraining it. It makes it incredibly difficult, almost impossible. Which is why we need to learn how to see things, how to view things that are based in reality, based in truth, based in facts. You know, this whole idea of there are no facts, there are no truths, that's part of that whole gray zone nonsense. My father actually said that to me in a conversation. I'm like, what the fuck? If there's no truth and there's no facts and there's no reality, what the fuck? What's the purpose? I mean, that means that, I can come up to you and stab you to death, and because there's no fact, there's no truth, I didn't actually come and stab you to death. It becomes that simple. So we have to understand this. It's that core. It's the stuff that I talk about constantly. The natural law, the natural rules that we all commonly can recognize. And we have to keep that in mind. I shouldn't attack you verbally. I shouldn't attack you physically, especially if there's no truth or facts or reality to it. Even, I shouldn't go after you on a rumor. I shouldn't go after you. For calling me an asshole. I can respond and say you're an asshole for calling me an asshole. That's equivalent. That's an equivalence. There is equivalence, but that equivalence is based on fact and truth and reality. And I'm talking about, you don't know me from a hole in the wall, and you come up and you hear something and you mistake it, because of the way you've been conditioned and indoctrinated, and you take offense and you call me an asshole, right? Remember, you know how when you walk in and you hit your head and you blurt out something, right? And you use that's you know that's kind of an attack, but it's it's not. But it's based on ignorance, jumping to conclusions, which is part of the conditioning and indoctrination. It's to keep you stupid so that you can't think straight, you can't think clearly. You don't look for the context. You don't look for the contextual realities. That's something I've been working on all my life. I haven't perfected it, but I don't expect to perfect it. Because there's no such thing as perfection. There's only learning. And not trying to trying not to make the same mistakes. And it's a difficult process. Because emotions come into it. I get emotional in my videos. I get passionate. But I do it for the right reasons. Such as when I was talking about, that fucking criminal asshole, and all those connected assholes for Jeffrey Epstein, who was running a child sex slave ring. And I was yelling, they're kids, they're children, not fucking women. That's a sort of passion. It's right. So, anyways, I'm going to end it there.